you. Well, welcome everybody to this webinar. And also thank you for the opportunity and the introduction that you gave. Well, let me just start with this webinar and see if my screen is working. Yeah, there it is. So the introduction is already given by Tamsin. Here you have a picture of me so that you also know with whom you are talking or who you are listening to. As already said, my name is Marlon van Dijk and I'm the Managing Director of Social Evaluator. Maybe a little bit about the study I did, business economics in Amsterdam, and I finalized my study with a thesis on social return on investment, and also worked for a social return on investment expert. So I'm a big fan of SROI, but I also am very open for all other methods and tools for measuring social impact next to social return on investment. Some hobbies, well, I love to swim, I love to dance, and I love to go to church. So I think this combination is possible. And some people find that strange, but it is possible. And that's a little bit background on my hobbies. Enough about me, because I want to talk about the company, Social Evaluator, and I want to also show you how we can measure social impact with the use of Social Evaluator tool. Just to start a little bit about the history of Social Evaluator. Social Evaluator is a social enterprise, and we are founded by two family foundations. One is the DOB Foundation and the other one is Nober Foundation. DOB Foundation does a lot of investments in East Africa in social enterprises, and Nober Foundation is an impact investor for the healthcare industry in the Netherlands. And in 2008 we were launched by these two partners, impact investors, and also for their they had a wish that they want to measure their social impact of their investments to make better investment selection choices. So you can imagine they get a lot of applicants and a lot of social enterprises that all claim to reduce poverty or claim to improve the quality of life, or all kind of claims of social impact, but it was all qualitative in their business plans, and only the financial part was quantitative. And of course they knew the business economics method to make selection choices based on the return on investment, but they were also looking for a method, a framework, how they can measure the social impact in order to make better investment selection choices, and also to do the monitoring and reporting on social impact the way they do it as well for the return on investment. And at that time we did it with Excel spreadsheets, and then Nober Foundation was the one who said, well, can we not better build an online tool for that, and Social Evaluator was born. Social Evaluator is a social enterprise, so all the profits that we make are being reinvested in the mission of Social Evaluator, and I think that makes us a social enterprise. And a little bit about the history of Social Evaluator. Well, why? I think it's good to start that why are we here, and that's on one hand we see that the world is changing around us. Everybody can see it. There's a banking crisis going on. There's an increased inequality, climate change, all kinds of issues, social issues, environmental issues that we are changing in the world today. And yet still, all the value that we destroy, we not account for that. Well, we are, but only financial value to destroy, but not back. So it's, I think, a little bit strange due to the fact that all the issues that we are facing, that still we are not accountable for these social and environmental values that we create or destroy. And so these two the world is changing and we are not accountable for that change, is a little bit framed from a negative point of view, because on the other hand, we also see a lot of new business models and investment models that also require new ways of measuring success. I think you all heard about venture philanthropy, impact investing, social entrepreneurship, which gives us really a good hope that we can tackle these social and environmental issues. But these business models, they require new ways of measuring success. Well, we as social evaluator, we try to measure and manage, we try to make it more easy for organizations to measure and manage their social impact. We have designed and we have developed a social evaluator web-based tool which can be used for impact assessments, for impact measurements, for impact management, and for impact reporting. All this information is also enables social accounting, and due to the fact that we have an online tool means that we also have a database in which we collect all the knowledge and data from these analyses. And our focus is really on the software and on the knowledge part within this organization. But at the same time, we also see that there is a need of expertise that can help our customers with the execution of these social impact analysis. So we have a network of expert partners, and these are accredited practitioners that can help our customers with the social impact analysis. So there's an international partner network of expert partners, so we have partners over the whole world, in South Africa, in Portugal, in Germany, in Spain. Wherever you want to do a social impact analysis with the use of social evaluator tool, we can provide the right expert partner that can help you with it. You can of course also try to do it yourself with a lot of self-study. I think you are able to do it, but if you need help, we can provide that for you as well. Next to the expert partners, we also do some consults and training ourselves. We organize inspirational sessions, we are giving webinars, we have in-company training to make sure that the social return on investment and social impact measurement is really, can be really used and implemented within the organization. So what we do is that we train people within the organization to learn how to do it. And with our online tool, you have all the resources and tools to measure and manage your impact. Sometimes we are asked for doing stakeholder interviews or other expert services. So some of that consultancy and training we are doing ourselves, but mostly is being done by our expert partners or our preferred partners. And our preferred partners are large audit firms, for example Ernst & Young and video accountants, with whom we work together in a specific sector. And they also, we train them to become preferred partners in a way that they can execute these analyses within a specific sector. And then we have a whole community, an online network of preferred partners, expert partners, and all the users and customers that use Social Evaluator tool. This is just a short image about who we are and what we do. Just to go further, the mission statement that we have is to stimulate, facilitate, and embed impact. Great. So I want to focus on the way how we measure social impact with our online tool, because in the world of impact measurement, we see a lot of different methods. There is a database, of course, in the United States called TRASI, and they have more than 250 different kind of measurements of social impact. Mostly are qualitative, and I think only 30 are quantitative. Well, there has been done a research here in the Netherlands at a university called Erasmus University, and they did some investigation which methods really measure the social impact and do look at both financial, economic, social, and environmental impact. And the social return on investment methods came as one of the 8 best methods to measure social impact. And also our tool is for that reason based on social return on investment principles. And I know that Jeremy Nichols from the SROI network, he gave the first webinar for the Nexii series of webinars. And yeah, we are strongly aligned with the SROI network, and our online tool is also in line with the principles of the SROI network. I don't want to take a lot of time regarding the principles, because I'm sure that Jeremy Nichols already talked a lot about the principles, but just to highlight them. And number 1 is involve your stakeholders. And involve your stakeholder really means that we want to see that you involve your stakeholders during the analysis. Principle 2 is understand what change is, and has to do with the fact about output and outcomes. We want you to really understand what changes and not only calculate output results, but try to describe and measure also the change within the lives of these people. Number 3 is value the things that matter. We do valuations also in the Social Evaluator web tool, and it's of course you have to focus on only the parts that really matter. Number 4 is about only include what's material, and that has to do with you only take into account the impacts that are relevant and significant. Number 5 is do not overclaim. We see a lot of people making analysis that they, well, I think the world looked a lot better if all these analyses were true, but try not to overclaim. And these first 5 has to do with the analysis that you are executing. And number 6 and 7, be transparent and verify the result. They are for the reporting of social impact analysis. So just be transparent. If you don't know things like dead weight or attribution, maybe you don't know, but just be transparent that you don't know these percentages or that it was a wild guess. Yeah, and verify the result. We say that if you are using your analysis for external purposes, that you should verify the result, because there's a lot of assumptions and a lot of subjectivity in social impact analysis. So it's better to verify the result by an accredited practitioner or by an assurance process to make sure that your analysis can be used for external purposes. So these principles we take into account in the Social Evaluator software. And I just want to guide you through a case study that one of our expert partners, Context International Corporation, have done. And this is a case about a social enterprise in India, and it's a case study for a rickshaw. And rickshaws are, well, you see it on the picture. These are tiny cars. It's a big industry in India, and the drivers have to go to a lot of trouble to drive these cars. They have to. There's a lot of money lenders involved, and these cars are very polluted, and well, the quality of life of these drivers is not perfect, of course. There's a lot of things that can be improved in that, and this project aims to improve the quality of life of these drivers, increase their income, and also make sure that the environment gets less polluted by these rickshaws. And because this is such a big industry in India, it's quite the potential of this social enterprise is quite big, and the social impact as well. It's a joint project. It's called the Three Wheels United, and DOB Foundation and ING Bank have invested in this project, social enterprise, and NVU and Context they did the social impact analysis within the Social Evaluator software. And well, I'm just going to lead you through the tool and show you how the tool looks like. First of all, you start with step 1, and step 1 is the introduction. And in the introduction you describe your title, so the title of your social enterprise or the title of your portfolio or your investment or your project. Doesn't really matter, whatever the scope is. In this case it is Three Wheels United, Auto Rickshaws business in Bangalore, in India. And the Three Wheels United, they are a social business to improve the social and economic position of auto rickshaw drivers in Bangalore, while contributing to improve environmental conditions. And Three Wheels United provides access to bank loans so drivers can buy their own vehicle. And auto rickshaw drivers generally have no access to bank loans and rely on more expensive options like rental arrangements and moneylender loans. So this is a short description of your project you can describe in step 1, and also which currency you want to use. In this case it is the Indian rupee. In step 2, in step 2 you can describe the theory of change. And in our tool it contains of 6 questions, and then most of our customers think, well, that's not that bad, that's quite easy. But with a little help of our consultants or the expert partners that we work with, we see that most of our customers need help to get this more concrete. So the questions that we ask in the theory of change help you to describe the null model. So for example, the first question that we ask is describe the social issue. And then we don't ask you to describe any solutions here. No, we really ask you to describe the social issue as concrete as possible. And you have a text field to describe this issue. In this case, auto rickshaw drivers in India are in a weak social economic position. They are indebted, heavily dependent on fleet owners and moneylenders, and as a result they are in a vicious cycle of poverty, and of course their family will also affect their lives, of the family of the rickshaw drivers. The second question that we ask you is the urgency of the issue. So how urgent is this issue? And this has indirectly also is also aligned with your dead weight. So what would happen if you don't do anything if you don't set up this whole Three Wheels United? What would happen to this social issue? What would happen to the rickshaw drivers? Here it is described in the sense that how urgent it is because of the market. The rickshaw driver market is very big in India, and these issues are affecting all the rickshaw drivers. So you describe your urgency and why it's so important to invest in this social issue. Next question is about the scale of the issue. We want to know the exact scale. We want to know how many of these drivers are in this kind of situation. Are all of the rickshaw drivers in a social economic position, or just part of them? So how big is the scale of this issue? And we need to have quantitative information about that. In this case it is estimated that around 85,000 drivers in Bangalore have this situation. And that's only in Bangalore, and we're not talking about India, the whole country. Another question is about how do you solve the issue? What is so unique about your solution? And what is the correlation between your solution and the social issue described? So why do you think this solution is going to solve your issue? And is there a demand for your solution? It's very important. So your theory of change helps you to describe the null model, but also is like a social market research. So you do research if there is a demand for your solution, and if your solution is the way to issue or to tackle that social issue. The other question that we ask in your theory of change is what are the specific objectives of your analysis, and what is the time frame? In this case the time frame was 5 years. It just fell out of the print screen. I'm sorry for that, but it was 5 years. And the specific objectives was an improvement in earnings for the drivers by 70%, an improvement in fuel mileage by 30 to 50%, and a reduction in harmful emissions from the rickshaw drivers by about 40%. These were the main objectives of this project. The theory of change is then collected in a PDF report. So you can download the PDF report. So if you think as a social entrepreneur or as an impact investor, well, this is enough for us at the moment. The theory of change, for example, we can use to see if this investment is aligned with our mission. We can make already an investment selection based on the theory of change. Then you can easily stop after step 2, because then you have the project description and your theory of change. Of course, it's not a social return on investment analysis, because then you have to value the things and calculate the ratio. But already step 1 and step 2 create a lot of information that is already useful for both the investor as well as the investee, the social enterprise. If you want to continue with your social impact analysis, then you go further to step 3. And in step 3 you will make a stakeholder analysis. And well, I don't think that I have to explain to you what are stakeholders, but if you don't know, there's always a question mark in our tool which you can use to have more information, and there's also information in the step itself. And here it says that stakeholders are key people, groups or organizations that experience change, whether positive or negative, as a result of your project venture. In the social evaluator we have a restriction of 8 stakeholders. That does not mean that in your stakeholder brainstorm you can think about more stakeholders than 8. And you can also easily adjust them and put them in the tool in the note function. You see it in the right corner. But we want you to focus on the main stakeholders, and we also want you to implement impact management within your organization. And if you have 30 stakeholders and a lot of outcomes and indicators per stakeholder, it is just not manageable. So we really would like you to focus on the key stakeholders of your social enterprise or project. Well, in this case, the rickshaw drivers are in 2 groups, the ones that save on rent and the one that save on loan. We divided those 2 on the end. Then, of course, you have the own organization, the 3 Wheels United. You have the supporting NGOs and the environment, and the relatives of the rickshaws, the family and children. After step 3 there's the input, and in the input you can calculate the total inputs of per stakeholder. So what is the input in time, in kind and in money of these stakeholders? There's an input calculator that can help you with calculating your inputs. Well, some stakeholders only invest in money, some stakeholders only invest in time, some stakeholders invest in money, time and in kind, and some stakeholders don't invest at all. If they don't invest at all, you just pressed no input. Here you calculate the total input of the social enterprise for the time frame that you have already defined in step 2. Sorry, in step 2, in the theory of change. So if you want to do an analysis for 5 years, you also calculate the total input for 5 years in this step. Then we go on. It's a logic model. So if you are a stakeholder and you invest, in this case it's in rupees, then you also have an activity. So the logic model is stakeholder, input, activity, and in step 5, activities, you describe your activities. Well, for example, the rickshaw drivers, they purchase, they're operating rickshaws and they join the group membership. The 3 Wheels United, they facilitate the loans, they develop add-on services. The NGOs, they're organizing the driver groups, and the rickshaw drivers, the ones who save on loans and the ones who save on rental, they do the exact same thing. The one that doesn't have an input and no activity is the environment, and also the relatives in this case, they don't have an input and thus no activity. If we go on to the output, step 6, then you see that the stakeholder invests time, money, or in kind. They have an activity, and they also have an output. And these output-related information you can describe in step 6. So, for example, the rickshaws purchase 9,150 vehicles, and they are active in 750 groups. The Three Wheels United, they facilitate 12,200 loans, and the number of add-ons they developed is not yet being defined in a figure. So in step 6 on the outputs, you describe a measurable unit of the production that is created by each activity of a stakeholder. So if there is no input and no activity, there is also not an output. Till so far, I think a social impact analysis, people can still, well, really understand it, because it's still all information that you can find within your own organization borders. But then if we go a step further and we go to outcome and impacts, then it becomes a little bit more difficult. Because here you have to describe what exactly are the outcomes for the stakeholders. So what really is going to change for the stakeholders. And from that outcome, what is contributed to your project or your social enterprise. So what we ask you here to also think about the percentages of dead weight and attribution. And there's also an input calculator that can help you with the dead weight and attribution. Is combined in the impact map, and you get a PDF report out of that. So if you want to stop here, it's perfectly fine. If you think this information for us, it's enough, it's okay. Now you have all the information about who are your stakeholders, what are their inputs, what are their activities, what do they want on short-term output, what kind of results do they want on the short term, the output results, what kind of results do they want on the long term, the outcome results, what kind of corrections did we use for dead weight and attribution, and what are the indicators to measure it. All this information is combined in the impact map, which can be also called impact assessment, and already gives a very good view on the impact you are going to create or you have created. For the diehards under us, we want to go further because we want to value the indicators and the outcomes. But if you don't feel like valuing, and if you are not interested in doing the social return on investment, the complete analysis, then you can stop with the impact map. But just to show you how it works in step 9, in step 9 you are going to do the valuing. So each indicator for each outcome you are going to value. And you can use financial proxies to value. Roughly there are two types of valuations. One that looks at the cost savings for example, and one that looks at the value, so the perceived value for example. There are a lot of different techniques and methods to use in the valuation, but roughly a lot of methods look at costs and a lot of methods looks at the value that you have created. For each indicator you choose the way of valuing, and you can use the valuing calculator for that. So you choose the way of valuing, and then you describe for how many persons or units this is the value takes place. You give an explanation, you describe your financial proxy, so what is the amount you use, and you explain it, and you describe for how long is this value going on, and you explain that as well. So you are doing that for each indicator, and within step 9 it's also going to make the correction on dead weight and attribution. So the percentages that you have filled in step 7 on dead weight and attribution are being used in this step 9 to do the correction on the valuing, so to decrease it. The valuing is also in the PDF report of Social Evaluator, and which gives you a good view about where are the main value drivers and for which stakeholders. So in this case we see that the main value was created for the rickshaw drivers, well, thank God, and the other main value driver is the interest income, and that was for the stakeholder 3 Wheels United. So you can easily see for which stakeholder is the most value created and the biggest impact. Then in step 10 you can make the projections. So you can make projections for 5 years, and it's calculating in this case we made projections for 5 years, and it's calculating the SROI ratio, and that's the total investments divided by the total social value, and then it's calculating the social return on investment ratio corrected with the net present value. Well, if you want more information about this, maybe we have some time in the 15 minutes questions, but for now on I go further, because then we still have some time for the questions. Also, this information is described in is in the PDF report available, and there's always room, of course, also for non-measurable results, for interview, for the narrative. For if you want to describe other things that you don't want to measure but just that you want to describe. So then you have completed your analysis, and what you can do is 2 options, actually 3 options. You can download the report, you can go back to the analysis if you think it's not yet finalized, or you can start the monitoring. So your projections and your forecast you can monitor with your actuals. I created this case of the rickshaws also in Prezi. That's a presentation form, and it's online, it's public, and it just shows you all the process steps that we went through while conducting these analysis. And if you press on this link, you will be directed to the case study of the rickshaw, so that you can easily read and read it on your own in your own time. And we are doing that with a lot of analysis. We are making, if they are public, we are making crazy presentations for it. So in order for other people to learn from it, and in order to help you execute these analyses. Then next to the single user license, which you just have seen for the rickshaw case, we have also a management tool. And a management tool enables you to manage several social impact analysis. And you can just see which step you are working on, what are the ratios, and you can manage all these different analyses within your organization or within your portfolio management. And you can also customize within your management tool. So for example, if you are an impact investor and you're doing investments in healthcare, then you can already predefine indicators, you can already predefine outcomes, and you can already predefine stakeholders, so that all the investees can easily pick from the pick list and the drop-down menus which kind of stakeholders they want to use, which kind of indicators, and what kind of outcomes they want to choose, in order to make it less time consuming for each investee to calculate the social return on investment or to assess their social impact. I think that this was the last slide of my presentation, and I want to give room for questions as well. But if you want, we can offer you a free trial. Just send an email. I think I get also email addresses from Nexii, and let us know if you want to have a free trial, and you can just test it and trial it out and let us know what you think, and we hope we can help you make social impact measurements and social impact assessments more easy, more fun, and more accessible for your organization. Thank you so much for your attention. Questions? I'm not sure how this works. Hands raised, 15. Thompson, are you going to help me with that, or? Because I'm not sure how to do it. I think I have to do it myself, or Thompson, are you going to help me? Yeah. Hello? So, well, I just see some questions here. Hi, I came in late, so excuse this question. Is to evaluate a product and service of Nexii as right index or a partner consultancy linked to the investment community? Thanks. Well, we are a software business, a software and knowledge business, and we are a product. We have an online tool for social impact measurement, and we are linked to the SROI network, and well, hopefully also linked to Nexii in the near future. Another question is about, I'm assuming a lot of research is required in order to determine these percentages related to debt weight and attribution, or is it an estimate? Yeah, good question. Of course, to really determine the correct percentages that you have to use for debt weight and attribution, you should set up a control group, randomized control groups, for example. But what we see is that our customers don't have money or time, or don't find it necessary to do it with randomized control groups. So what we do most of the times is to use to just ask the stakeholder, to involve them in the analysis and to just ask them in surveys or in interviews what they want to, if this outcome is cost for them, and how if this outcome also is caused by the social enterprise or by the investee or by the investor or whatever. So you just ask them, and you ask them for a percentage in surveys and everything. I'm not sure if I make myself clear because I cannot hear you, but so we use the methods to just involve them and ask them how much of the outcome is caused by the own organization and what would happen if the organization or the project or the social enterprise was not there. And it gives you clear, it's not exact information, of course, it's very subjective as well, but for forecasting, it's just a wild guess sometimes. But for the evaluation, it gives an image about what kind of corrections you have to use. And I think it's better to do it than not to do it, because then you calculate yourself very, very rich. So, but there are all kinds of methods to do it in a scientifically way, but it's not yet being done so a lot. I hope I answered your question. Can we have an idea of how many investor funds are currently using this tool? Let's just start with the definition of impact investing funds, because we work a lot with family foundations, and they call themselves also now impact investing funds. So I think at the moment we work with 5 impact investing funds. We also work for government, for the Scottish government, for example. They have a fund also for social enterprises, and they use our tool as well. So that's more public investor. And then we have like more philanthropic foundations, not really impact investing, but still they donate money and they want to know the social return on investment of their donations. I can give some examples of customers, like Start Foundation in the Netherlands is using our tool. The Anton Jurgens Fund is also a Dutch foundation who's using our tool. Of course, the Nober Foundation and the DOB Foundation, but that's of course logical. So these impact investing funds are using our tool at the moment. Don't worry about my question, you have answered it in the last slide. Oh, okay, sorry. Can you please give a few examples for the step 6 output, Esther? Well, Esther, outputs are always like direct results of the inputs and the activities. In the guideline of the SROI network, it says it's the activities in numbers. So if you are purchasing, I can go back to the analysis, maybe it helps you. I'm not sure if I can go back. Yeah. So if I go back to the analysis, then for example the rickshaw drivers in this case, they are purchasing, operating rickshaws and so on, group memberships, and then on the output you see how many vehicles and how many in how many groups they are active. Also the Three Wheels United in this case, we want to know exactly how many loans they are going to facilitate, because this analysis is a forecast. For the NGOs, it's about the number of groups they have organized and the number of drivers they have mobilized. So these are all examples of output-related data. One last question. Don't know if others have a question. I missed the part on ratio numbers. SROI, is that ratio out of the total invested? Is it okay? Well, we go back to the ratio part. That's this part, and the social return on investment ratio is the total social value created. So here you see the average social value per person times the number of rickshaw drivers is the total social value created, is 105,000 rupees, and the total investment was at 38,000 rupees. It's all times thousands, by the way, but anyhow, so the total social value divided by the total investment is the SROI ratio. And now it's taken for these complete 5 years and also be corrected with a net present value, because these are future social values. So it is corrected with a net present value. But it is the total social value divided by the total investment. I hope that answers your questions. Is it realistic to compare the SROI ratio between one project, say Three Wheels United, and another, cancer research, when an impact investor may simply want to see the greatest possible impact of their money? Well, you're talking about benchmarking now, and I think within your portfolio you can benchmark. Let me go to your management tool, for example. This is the management tool, so you can see all the different ratios of all the, for example, investees, and you can benchmark these SROI ratios, but I think it only makes sense if these investees have the same theory of change, the same stakeholders selected, the same outcomes, and the same indicators, because otherwise you compare apples with pears. It's my personal opinion. So I think it's possible, for example, for a government, let's say an example in the Netherlands, a government that invests in projects that create jobs for unemployed people, and in each local government you have these projects. And the governments now, of course, have to save money, so they have to make choices in which project they want to invest and in which project they don't want to invest, and then they have the same theory of change within each project, the same stakeholders, the same outcomes and the same indicators, and in that case you can do the benchmarking. But I think only in that case it makes sense to do benchmarking on SROI ratios. What are the costs for Social Evaluator? Well, a single user license, and you can use that for doing one social return on investment analysis, costs €250 per year. And if you have multiple projects and you need a management tool, then the management tool is for free if you order 4 or more single user licenses. So for, the management tool is for free if you invest €1,000 and then you have 4 project accounts or single user licenses that you can use for your to calculate for social impact analysis or SRI analysis. So the price is €250. If you have 50 projects, then it's 50 times €250. If you have 10, then you have 10 times €250. And of course, if you are ordering more than 20, we have a staffel that lower the price of, if you order, for example, 200 licenses for, then we of course decrease our price. But a single user license is €250, and then if you need 4, it's 1,000, and you get a management tool for free. And if you need more, it's an extra 250 each time. And that's of course only the software, and not there's of course a technical help desk, but for the consultancy and training it's not included in that price. How is SRI speaking to the IRIS standards and making sure that indicators are equivalent? Well, I know there is a white paper between social return on investment and IRIS about it. IRIS has definitions on outputs and standard outputs, and we really want to use IRIS definitions also within our social evaluator tool. And there is a white paper that describes what IRIS is and what social return on investment is, and how it can be complementary to each other. And well, we are always of course developing our tool, and in our new version 2.0 that we hope to launch next year, we want to integrate IRIS standardizations and definitions in order to create legitimacy in the whole social impact measurement world. Hope that answered your question as well. Do you envisage a time when we will have indicator values or cost of indicators help with the estimates of value? Is this another application of the IRIS kind of taxonomy? Not sure if I understand this question, but of course all the data that has been, all the analysis that has been executed within Social Evaluator tool, we all collect the data in our database, and within different verticals, so for example housing or employment or healthcare, we want to create from bottom up also some sort of standardization. We really believe that this can be created well if there is a volume of these analysis being done in our tool, and at the moment there are like 1,800 analysis done in our tool, and we think it's possible to create some sort of standard and standard data from out the Social Evaluator tool for different sectors. And it's not the same as the IRIS taxonomy, because I think they work just the other way around, that it's more from top down, and we would like to see it from bottom up. But I think at one point we will find each other to really make sure that it's all communicating together with each other, to make sure that there is a standard within the field of impact measurement. how realistic are the value estimates that SROI uses to estimate its returns? What standards are there around determining them? Oh, what are questions? Well, we say that value is always in the eye of the stakeholder. So, but that's more for the perceived value. So we always calculate the perceived value while involving the stakeholder. So that's of course subjective. The values that are calculated with cost methods, they are far more objective, of course, because these are just methods and techniques from cost-benefit analysis, for example. So these techniques from cost-benefit analysis are very objective. So, for example, if you have a cost saving for the government, or if you have a cost saving for a health insurance, you can be very objective in that, and you can use financial proxies that are also used within that sector, or to describe the cost savings. And there is, of course, also from the SROI network the Wiki Voice, which has a database of all standard stakeholders, outcomes, indicators, and values, in order to have as less as subjectivity within these analysis, but still there's always a part of subjectiveness, because we also calculate the perceived value, and perceived value, the value of that is always in the eye of the stakeholder. So hope that answers your question. Do I still have time to answer all these questions?
Thank you, Marlon.
Yeah, okay.
I think if there are any more last questions, otherwise, as I said, we will be downloading this onto the Nexii website, and any further questions can certainly be sent through to Marlon in the future. But Marlon, really want to thank you for making time available today and introducing everybody to this tool, which I think is most useful.
Thank you. Yeah, and if there are more questions, please just send an email to info@SROI, and I'm more than willing to answer your questions. Because of the time, I think we have to wrap up. But yeah, thank you so much for the attention, and yeah, it was great to present this to you.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for joining, and we look forward to seeing you next month, where in fact we will be talking about theory of change, which will speak directly to SROI as a tool. So until then, Marlon, thank you so much, and we will email everybody once it has been uploaded on the Nexii website. Thanks all. Thanks,
Okay,
Marlon. Thanks very much.
Thank you.